Welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather. We're looking at an active region rising here in the northeastern limb of the sun. Is it a sunspot? You'll have to wait until later in the video to find out. Here it is in a different series of wavelengths. The last was 171 angstroms. This is 335 and 1700 angstroms composite. We've seen some solar flares happen, including one while I did show prep today. Here is the only currently numbered sunspot on the solar disk. It's sunspot 2833. And here it is in 171 angstroms. Here's a diagram of the solar system, and we've got a coronal mass ejection watch in effect, and we only put those in effect when there is one about to happen in the Earth-facing vicinity, or at least in this case, one highly likely to happen in the Earth-facing vicinity. Anyway, here's currently where things are situated in the solar system. There's where things will be in 1 week on June 30th. Here's a star chart. If you're wondering what's above your head, check out in-the-sky.org, put in your location. I like to face mine to the south and draw in the ecliptic. And if you've got clear skies before dawn, you may see Jupiter and Saturn up there high in the sky. Next, I'd like to thank our patrons, the real source of funding for the content. We make just this side of nothing on YouTube. Thanks to our new viewers, by the way. Thanks to all of our viewers. Even if you're unable or unwilling to be a patron, thanks to all of our viewers, but especially thanks to our patrons, as you've provided financial incentive for these videos to continue to exist and remain publicly visible and come out in a timely fashion and so on. Patreon.com/smAsho if you'd like all kinds of perks nobody else gets, all kinds of early alerts nobody else gets, even multimedia. Patreon.com/smAsho. Here's a little teaser of what we've been posting. And we even put up imagery of the galactic current sheet last night. Yes, we've got imagery of the galactic current sheet. And if you're wondering, there it is, the galactic current sheet. Some posy bed linens there. Oh my God, look at that. Holy cripes. That's some of the sweetest galactic current sheet that I've ever seen in my life. The 10.7 centimeter radial flux still at pretty low levels here. At 81 solar flux units is the current state of affairs. As cycle 25 progresses quite slowly here, we're expecting a sudden uptick in the radial flux. So here is the 1-year chart. This black line is the radial flux. The 2800 megahertz signal that comes out of the upper chromosphere and lower corona, the most proportional data set to sunspot number. Anyway, that's a 1-year chart. Sunspot number is the red line down there below. That 1-year chart from Solon.info. No geomagnetic storms or geomagnetic unrest or anything like that forecasted from NOAA. This is the NOAA forecast here we've highlighted on the Space Weather Enthusiasts dashboard. And let's get to seismicity. We're seeing a massive lull in 7 magnitude earthquakes. So the past 90 days only featured 1 magnitude 7 or higher earthquake. So if you're in an earthquake-prone zone, please have an earthquake plan. We saw a number of 5 magnitude earthquakes in the past 24 hours, all in the southern hemisphere. Anyway, there we've sorted by 5+ magnitude quakes, and let's go up the list here. So there was a deep quake in Indonesia. That's only a 4.0 magnitude. We saw one very far north in Alaska as well there. We won't cite it otherwise than that mention right there. Deep quake at the Fiji Islands at over 530 kilometers on a 4.6 magnitude. One of those 5s was at Salamanca, Colombia, not to be confused with Hector and Tuco Salamanca. The Drake Passage, probably the most dangerous oceanic waterway in the world, saw a 5.4 there, south of the southern tip of South America. South-south-south is where all the action is, seismically speaking. Largest quake of the past 24 was this 5.8 at Peru. Let's check out the location of that one, right on the coast here and south of Lima. Most likely felt there, although it is quite a mountainous area. Maybe they got insulated. I don't know. Leave us a comment if you're from Lima and you felt the quake. Right on the coast there. And continuing up the list, a deep quake at the Mariana Islands as well. Happened earlier today. Let's check out volcanoes. Well, Etna's new southeast crater has been erupting, and there's an image of its lava fountaining. Quite active situation going on at Etna. So another paroxysm happening here, a little bit surprisingly faster than was expected, at only about 24 hours since the last one, breaking the cycle as Etna was exhibiting some cyclicity in its eruptive behavior. Anyway, that's the 42nd paroxysm this year as explosive activity increases. There was also a lava flow associated with last night's eruption. Subanose-jima in the Ryukyu Islands also exploded, 6,000-foot ash plume above it. Manam, now back on the list as it explodes, 8,000-foot ash plume there. Dukono exploding, 7,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. Fuego exploding. Estimated altitude of the top of the ash cloud there in Guatemala, 15,000 feet. Revenador exploding in Ecuador, 15,000-foot ash plume there as well. Sabancaya exploding, 24,000-foot ash plume. And sporadic incandescences at Nevados de Chilean are a stark reminder to not pull Volta Caldera. It could be unfortunate. And if you'd like some great graphics like this on some products, check out smAshomash.com. You can find links there, and we're continuing our sale through the month of June. Here's a C-class flare that kicked off as we did show prep. Yes, some X-rays outputted by the sun there. Significant C-class flare there. In the mid-range of the C range of X-ray photon output. Proton flux showing no spikes, no coronal mass ejections yet. Again, there is a coronal mass ejection watch in effect. GOES magnetometer showing you this higher low that I actually forecasted yesterday. And a slightly higher high as well. Yes, we forecasted the magnetism, folks. It's a thing. And please let us know if other space weather forecasters, solar forecasters, etc., are able to do anything even in the realm of what we've been doing on the channel. Here's the top view ecliptic plane field plot. And we can expect some more moderate GOES magnetometer readings here. Nothing to write home about. Earth is solidly in a North Pole current sheet shown in green, South Pole current sheet shown here in red. Here's a line of sight view of the same data. It's gathered from 51 ground-based magnetometers, the National Sunspot Observatory, as well as magnetometers on stereo A there at Lagrange point 5 and stereo B there at Lagrange point 4. Next, the coronal hole line of sight plot. And there is a diffuse coronal hole system right in the Earth-facing zone here. It's not showing up very well. And there is a bunch of plasma filamentary material in between Sun and Earth. Here's another visualization of that. And sunspot 2833 has degraded since yesterday. It's going to be downgraded to an alpha class sunspot, as the main umbra shrunk and the other complementary umbrae have vanished entirely, at least last I checked. Global geomagnetism calm at 1 for the KP index, KP of 1. Next, the real-time solar wind. And we just saw a little uptick here of about 20 protons per cubic centimeter there. Actually, more like 40. Anyway, little uptick there in the solar wind velocity. Current solar wind speed 372 kilometers per second. A small uptick in the solar wind density as well, now up to 7.23 protons per cubic centimeter. We also saw an increase in the plasma temperature and the phi angle around that same time. Also some shifting around in the BTBZ. Let's take a look at the geospace. Here are 4 hours of data from University of Michigan, the Geospace Magnetosphere movie showing pressure. It should be 4 hours of data. Let's let it refresh to show the most recent. Anyway, magnetohydrodynamic pressure here fairly uniform, primarily in the magnetotail side of the planet as opposed to the sun-facing side, which would be to your left. And do we see a little uptick here right in the last little bit? There's a little tiny uptick in the pressure in the bow shock region. Next, looking at ground magnetic perturbations, we show it daily since there's a polar excursion going on. Earth has 2 north poles, and the south pole is south of Australia someplace in the Southern Ocean. Anyway, these are perturbations on the ground level shown in nanotesla. It should be 4 hours of data. Fairly uneventful here over the past 4 hours. By the way, we do regularly stream live to Twitch. We've been doing our meteorology segments as live Twitch streams. And if you want to be notified when we do that, download the Twitch app. It's quite a good app. Twitch.tv/smAsho is the URL. And allow me to vanish before I thank our YouTube viewers. Thanks to everybody who tunes into the videos. Seriously, leave us a comment. Let us know how long you've been watching the videos. Let us know what your favorite social media is and so on. Don't forget to check our playlists as well. Press like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Press the notification bell so you know when we put up videos. We're also on BitChute. We're also on Discord, by the way, and if you haven't checked out our Discord chat, check it out. There's a link to that, a permanent link that we've placed at smashomash.com on the homepage with the rest of our social media, smashomash.com. And we've been not doing any cosmology segments lately, as there are too many stories to cover, frankly, and we'll just have to do that at a later time. Today's Wednesday afternoon live stream. We're doing Wednesday live streams at 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time every Wednesday now. That's part of our new format. Make sure you check that out. We will talk some cosmology in that. Also current events, and there may be some stuff about cycling as well, depending on what we're getting into. I would also note one more thing, the X-ray transient outputs of Cygnus X3. So let's bring that up on the screen here. Here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, we're interested in facts. And one of the weirder objects in the Milky Way galaxy, if not the weirdest object in the Milky Way galaxy, is Cygnus X3, the massive X-ray binary consisting of a massive object orbiting a Wolf-Rayet star, which is a blue supergiant the size of Mars's orbit at relativistic speeds. It is in an ultra-quiescent state. So if you look at this down here, this is the 30-day chart. You can see the way it's right on the 0 line here. And look at, that's about as quiescent as Cygnus X3 ever gets. One of the only known point sources for cosmic ray flux. Anyway, there it is. It's in an ultra-quiescent state. This data is from the Neil Gorell Swift Bat X-ray Observatory, the Burst Alert Telescope, which monitors 1,050 X-ray sources from galaxies to stars to, I'll just say, massive radio sources. The Neil Gorell Swift Bat X-ray Observatory, we look at it on the regs on the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Next, moving into the realm of X-ray flux. And we have more moderate levels of not X-ray flux, electron flux. And we've got more moderate levels of electron flux here. No charging hazards noted at this point. Let's just press refresh and make sure. No charging hazards. And here's the 1-year chart from Solon.info. You can see we're in a more moderate range here of electron flux. Here's the 3-day chart. And we never made it into warning levels yesterday. Here's the forecast model. We're expecting to see a continued downtick. There will be a coronal hole wind stream, probably a weak one, as the coronal hole in the northern hemisphere is looking diffuse despite being a little bit trans-equatorial. But in any case, this is the forecast for electrons, the green box. I won't argue with that. Here's the total electron content forecast, which shows you the electron density for the whole air column, all the way well out into the thermosphere. The entire air column between a geosynchronous satellite and your handset. Some anomalous electron flux here at nighttime over places like the Caribbean, the Central Atlantic, the Central Pacific, and South America. I'll let it play through a second time so you can see the visualization of that. It's the electron density, the total electron content forecast. Here's a diagram of the atmosphere. Distances are shown in miles. We show it daily to give you an idea of what we just looked at. Next, we're looking at the ionosphere, and specifically the F layer. It's, in many ways, the bridge between space and Earth. And by the way, if you haven't been checking out our meteorology segments, we've been doing daily meteorology segments. Make sure you tune into that. If you're only watching the daily space weather videos, you may learn something about meteorology as well. Anyway, here is the ionosphere map, and we're seeing continued anomalies here over this area. So continued anomalies over the South Central Pacific, northwestern South America. There you can see it happening once again. Ionospheric anomalies, surprisingly high vibration regions. And what you're looking at is vibrational frequencies in megahertz, millions of vibrations per second. Let's bring up the latest image. It's coming through at 8:30 universal time. Things looking pretty normal at that moment. And it's time to stream our meteorology segment. And we just did our meteorology segment. Let's get back to the daily space weather. Our bonus features are starting out with the El-Teide ground-based solar observatory data. There you go. And this is part of the reason why we have a coronal mass ejection watch. In effect, we can see filaments big time all over the place. And we may have seen a coronal mass ejection happen while we did show prep today. In any case, there are lots of filaments, and don't be surprised to see us report that a coronal mass ejection has occurred. That's why there's a watch in effect. It's not a warning yet, just a watch. Let's check out the thematic map. And at least we can see where that C-class flare came from. And it looks like there is likely a coronal mass ejection associated with this. That C-class flare clearly came out of this rising active region over here. If you're wondering if it's a sunspot, the answer is no, at least not yet. We don't see any umbrae. But you can see these pink areas. That is X-ray output. So fantastic imagery there from the thematic map. It happened while we did show prep, folks. Next, looking at the latest intensity gram, we've pressed refresh, and we don't see any umbrae there. Sunspot 2833 is an alpha-class sunspot. It's official. There are no surrounding umbrae. Here are the magnetic field environments. And here's that plage, which likely just produced a coronal mass ejection. Here's a full disk view in ionized helium, 304 angstroms from the Solar Dynamics Observatory. Here's a composite. It's 304 and 193 angstroms. And we'll close out today's daily space weather video with 171 angstroms and 1600, which is actually ionized carbon and ionized iron. So the bright spots you see there are either ionized carbon or iron. Great imagery there from the SDO. Thanks for tuning into the Daily Space Weather. Remember to stare at the sun, attempt to understand the physics, don't drink, and if you do, don't drive. Welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. Don't forget to press like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Support the channel via our links. And may that solar wind be at your back.